Welcome to Two Chicks and a Horror Flick, a weekly horror movie review podcast. I'm Tawny Ray.
And I'm Felicia Connor. Subscribe to get new episodes every Wednesday. We dive into trivia, drink a little whiskey, and of course, give our no BS opinions.
Join our Discord server or message us on social media to talk all things scary.
And if you like the show, consider supporting us on Patreon.
You can find all these links on our website, twochicksandahorrorflick.com. Thanks for listening.
Now let's get scared. Hello. Welcome back. We're excited to be here. I am very excited to be here today. Well, I'm always excited, but especially today, we are talking about Seven. We are continuing our 90s psychological horror / thriller fine line theme for the month of February. And today is my pick, and it's Seven. And I'm very excited. But before we dive in, Tawny, what are you drinking?
I'm drinking some Buffalo Trace, some coveted Buffalo Trace. You can't get it here. I know I keep saying that, but I just want to reiterate because we went out for my birthday over the weekend and we went to dinner at this like really great place. And I ordered a whiskey drink and then they were like, what do you want? I was like, do you have Buffalo Trace? And they were like, nope, nobody has it. And I was like, fuck. So
another reason you need to move to Arizona.
I don't know why. It makes me wonder, why are we having that problem? You guys aren't having that problem.
Yeah, we just go and we buy the whiskey.
We're like kind of in the same area a little bit of the country. Like, why, give me my whiskey. So, but anyway, I'm real excited about that. Just drinking it straight. Love it. I mean, I did put a little ice cube in here, but yes.
That's nice.
That's what I got. What do you got over there?
I'm a little boring today, as Tawny knows. I woke up with a headache. But you know what? I'm going to the chiropractor on Monday. I used to go all the time and it would help. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to do a massage.
Nice.
I picked up my yoga. I'm doing that every day. I'm proud of myself. Well, so far for the past 3 days, but it's good.
That's great.
And I am convinced this will heal my body and it will heal. So anyway, because of that, and I took medicine for my migraine, I am guzzling water because it's healing.
Smart.
And then my husband went and got lunch and he brought me back a giant strawberry lemonade from Wiener Schnitzel.
Okay.
They had Wiener Schnitzel. I'm having this giant strawberry lemonade from Wiener Schnitzel.
That sounds good.
I was going to make a Shirley Temple, but I slept until we were about to record. So he brought me that instead. That's my replacement.
That's fair.
Yeah. What have you been up to? Like, what have you been watching, reading, listening?
Well, it's been very busy, just like last week. I'm sure I said the same thing. Super busy at work, so not a lot of time to do stuff. I also have slowed way down on my reading, but I have two things that I want to mention for things that I'm watching. Number one, I want to say that I've watched like a handful of stuff, but these are my of notes. Number one, Jade and I started watching the show. I think it's called Midnight Asia, and it's been on Netflix for like a while. It's not a new thing, I don't think, but it might be newer. And then each episode seems like they focus on a different city and like the nightlife in that city. And I have got to tell you, this is what I wanted and needed. It's like the first thing for me to watch that in a very, very long time that makes me feel like warm and hopeful, like, and excited to like go back out into the world. I was like, Jade and I talk about all the time, we really want to visit Japan. And so I'm like, I think the first episode was in Japan, maybe Tokyo, Japan. And so it was like, I want to just go and visit, and it was just cool. Like, it was like, you never think of these like cool little things that are highlighted. Like, this guy had like a traveling bar that he started, and it's like a little like just walk around cart that he like walks around and sets up shop, and people like walk up and have drinks. And it just was like, I don't know, it just gave me such a good feeling, like I was like, so wholesome, and like watching people just like live their best life. Like in that same episode, there was this like, I think this woman was like 85 and she was like a DJ. And she
that's so cool.
Went to DJ school and would go out. Yeah, it was like really neat. So anyway.
What is this called again?
I think it's called Midnight Asia.
Midnight Asia. Okay.
Yeah, it's great so far. We've only seen 2 episodes, and I don't know how many there are, but that's been my like most exciting thing that I've watched lately just because it gave me such a good feeling, you know?
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. And then on the opposite end of the spectrum, as far as feelings go, I binge watched all of the new season of Love is Blind because I was trying to get in some escapism, you know? Like I was like, oh, maybe I'll watch this because I watched the whole first season. I hate watched it, you could say, because I was annoyed about it the whole time. I don't like shows like this. I don't like love reality. It's just so like cheesy and not real to me. I hate it. But then I was like, am I going to watch the second season? I posted in our Discord, actually. I was like, am I going to do this? Because I need like a break from work. Like I've been dreaming about work every night that I go to sleep. And I thought it might help. And it did not. Still dreamed about work last night. But God, it is so simultaneously entertaining and obnoxious.
Yeah.
And you're constantly like, aw. Like I watched the whole show like, ugh. You can't see my face, but I flip-flop between I'm cringing and it's nice and sweet. So there's that. What have you been watching or doing or listening to?
I watched one of the seasons. I don't know how many there are. Maybe it was first season. I don't even know. But with my daughter. So I totally know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
That feeling.
You're like, why are these people so fucking stupid?
Yeah.
Sorry. Go ahead.
All right. So binged more of You. So we're almost done. We're all the way into the most current season. So almost done with the current season. Also binged Just Like That, just like I told you I was gonna. And that's the Sex and the City current day.
Right.
I love it. I really love it. And I kind of laid into Steve a little bit because he made a joke. That's a lot of jokes going around, like women, oh yay, women in their 50s or 60s and a show about them and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, are you saying once women are out of their 20s or 30s that they're no longer relevant, that they can't have
valuable
lives, that they're not valuable, that their experiences aren't valuable? No, babe, that's not what I'm saying. I love it because it deals with all of those things. It deals with like being in that age and death and how things are changing around you with the younger generation and the different things that are going on. I fucking love it. Binged a lot of that and am not done. And the last thing I binged, which I also fucking love, is Ozarks.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Not done with any of them, but pretty close. Okay. And Ozarks is real good. All of those shows I'm really liking.
Okay. I've not seen any of that. Oh, except for You. I've seen all of You.
Okay. Yeah. And that's just like that too. And one other thing. And there's also like, going through life and being that age and wanting to reinvent yourself and just all kinds of stuff. And I love it because I also think, just like you were talking about with the bingo show, horror.
Bingo Hell.
And I was like seeing that, what, does everything just stop once we're like mid-30? Is like, no, does life just stop at that point? Because that's all we see on TV and everything, unless we're just like some, elderly co-star, right? Or a man, I guess, or a man. You could still be the leading man, but it's like, your life just has all these experiences up to this point, and then it's like,
now you're done.
Nothing more. Yeah. So I really enjoy it. But anyway,
you're basically dead. At 32.
At 32. Like nothing else is worth recording. So, and I love Jason Bateman. I think he's so great. And so I'm really enjoying Ozarks.
He is really great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's it. That's what I'm doing.
All right.
Yeah. All right.
Anything
else? Or should we get into it?
I don't think so.
All right.
I think that's it for me.
Well, let's get into it then.
Okay.
All right, everybody. We are watching Seven from 1995. Fun fact, 1995. That is when I graduated high school. All right. I watched it on Hulu several times. I was so excited it was on Hulu.
Did you watch it like when you graduated? Did you go see it in theaters?
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, okay.
So I've seen it. I would most definitely say I've seen it over 20 times.
Wow. Okay.
I definitely have. Yeah. So yeah, Hulu. Free. I mean, unless you pay for, you pay for Hulu, so it's not free, but you know what I'm saying.
If you got it. Yeah.
Yes. The director is David Fincher. He directed music videos, including Madonna's Express Yourself in Vogue, which would be another thing from my high school. So I wanted to put that there, but probably everybody most knows him for Alien 3, Fight Club, Panic Room, Zodiac, The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, The Curious Case of Benjamin Button, Gone Girl, and House of Cards and Mindhunter, 2 Netflix series that I really loved as well. So I don't really know directors' names unless they're like these big directors that you always hear about, like Steven Spielberg, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I didn't realize, oh shit, I liked all of that stuff, and he did it.
No, I had actually the same realization like a couple years ago when my coworker was like, we were talking about movies and I was talking about my love of revenge movies, and he was like, have you seen The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo? And I was like, no, I haven't. He was like, it's right up your alley. You're going to love it. You need to watch it. Went home, watched it, was like, I did fucking love that. That was a great movie. And then I realized, oh my God, this director, David Fincher, has done like a ton of shit that I love. I love Panic Room.
Yeah.
The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, Seven. I mean, spoiler alert, but you know.
Oh God, thank God.
Mindhunter is incredible. It's an incredible show. So I was like, oh shit. I also was like, I didn't even know this guy did all these things, but I fucking love this guy as a director.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I don't know him as a human, but I love him as a director.
Yeah.
He may be a great human too. You know, you never know.
We don't know.
Hope so. The budget was that's recorded is $33 million, and the box office was $327.3 million. Rotten Tomato gave it an 82%, IMDb an 8.6 out of 10, and Letterboxd is a 4.3 out of 5. This film is also included in Roger Ebert's Great Movies list. All right. The cast. And then I wrote 4 people down. Morgan Freeman is Somerset. Brad Pitt is Mills. Kevin Spacey is John Doe. And Gwyneth Paltrow is Tracy.
Okay, spoiler alert. If you haven't seen this movie, turn back now. You probably have already had it spoiled for you. But if you haven't, I highly recommend watching before you listen to this episode.
Yeah, 100%. Do not listen to this episode before you've seen the movie, unless you're just like really, really faint and like sensitive in not a bad way, but like you can't physically watch the movie.
Yeah, gruesome things. It's gruesome.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
But definitely if you can handle it, which more than likely you can because you're listening to our podcast,
right?
Watch first.
Yeah, just in case.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Oh, sorry.
No, 2 minutes with Tawny.
All right. So I copied and pasted this from Wikipedia. And then I was like, I'm going to shorten this up. I literally took out one sentence. I think it does a pretty good job of, you know, being, what's the word? Concise. So it is a little bit more long, though, than mine. So here we go. Soon to retire Detective Lieutenant William Somerset is partnered with short-tempered but idealistic Detective David Mills, who has recently moved to an unnamed large city with his wife Tracy. After forming a friendship with Somerset, Tracy confides to him that she is pregnant and has yet to tell Mills, as she is unhappy with the city and feels it is no place to raise a child. Somerset sympathizes, having had a similar situation with his ex-girlfriend many years earlier, and advises her to tell Mills only if she plans to keep the child. Somerset and Mills investigate a set of murders inspired by the 7 deadly sins. A morbidly obese man forced to eat until his stomach burst, representing gluttony, and a criminal defense attorney killed after being forced to cut a pound of flesh from himself, representing greed. Clues at the murder scenes lead them to a suspect's apartment, where they find a third victim, a drug dealer and child molester strapped to a bed, emaciated and barely alive, representing Sloth. The third victim is in critical condition and unable to respond to Somerset and Mills' questioning. Daily photographs of the victim, taken over a year, show the crimes were planned far in advance. The detectives used library records to identify a John Doe and track him to his apartment. Doe flees and Mills gives chase, during which Mills searches a truck before being struck in the head with a tire iron. While Mills is incapacitated, Doe walks up to him and holds him at gunpoint for a moment before escaping. The apartment contains hundreds of notebooks revealing Doe's psychopathy, as well as a clue to another murder. The detectives arrive too late to stop a man forced by Doe at gunpoint to kill a sex worker by raping her with a custom-made bladed strap-on representing lust. The following day, they attend the scene of a fifth victim, a model whose face has been mutilated by Doe. She was given the option to call for help and live disfigured or commit suicide by taking pills, and chose the latter, representing pride. As Somerset and Mills return to the police station, Doe unexpectedly turns himself in, covered in the blood of an unidentified victim. Doe offers to confess to his crimes, but only on the condition that he escorts Somerset and Mills to a secret location where the victims representing envy and wrath are presumably buried. Otherwise, he will plead insanity. Somerset is wary, but Mills agrees. During the drive, Doe expresses his lack of remorse for his crimes, declaring that his victims deserve to die, and professes himself to be a martyr chosen by a higher power to shock the world out of its state of apathy. Doe also makes cryptic, threatening remarks towards Mills, who maintains his belief that Doe is simply insane. Doe's directions lead the detectives to a remote, deserted location. Minutes after their arrival, a delivery van approaches. Mills holds Doe at gunpoint while Somerset goes to intercept the driver, who says he was instructed to deliver a box to their coordinates. Somerset opens the box and, in a sudden panic, tells Mills to stay back. Doe reveals that he himself represents the sin of envy, as he envied Mills' life with Tracy, and implies the box contains Tracy's decapitated head. He goads Mills, telling him that Tracy begged for her life and the life of her unborn child, and reacts with surprise and delight when he realizes Mills was unaware that Tracy was pregnant. Despite Somerset's warnings, an enraged Mills fulfills his own role as Wrath and shoots Doe fatally and repeatedly, completing Doe's plan. Somerset and the police captain watch as the devastated Mills is taken away. When the captain asks where he'll be, Somerset says he'll be around, implying that he will not retire. In a voiceover, he says, "Ernest Hemingway once wrote, 'The world is a fine place and worth fighting for.' I agree with the second part." The end.
Thank you for that, because I just got to relive that whole movie just now.
I mean, I feel like it was kind of long, but it does hit all the beats in a way that I felt like I probably couldn't write in the time that I had.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So you already kind of hinted at it, but tell us, Tawny, overall, how do you feel about this movie?
Oh, this movie. I had only ever seen it once.
Okay.
A long time ago, when I was like 15, 16, 17, somewhere around there. And I got I accidentally watched it. I just was like in the house with some friends who happened to be watching it. And so I surprise watched this movie, and I didn't know what I was signing up for. And it disturbed me on a very deep level for many days. I remember feeling deeply moved. I don't like feeling this way, but at the same time, it's interesting to feel so affected by something. So like, I can't help but appreciate that. And it was so just gruesome. We'll get into more as we go, like the things that really stuck with me. But I have always felt like that is a fucking great movie. I love that movie. And I do love this movie. I think it's a great movie, but rewatching it now, I had like weird problems with it that we can get into more detail on. But I mean, I didn't like hate it or anything. It just was like interesting watching it from a different perspective. But I was really afraid to rewatch it. And I kept asking Jade, I was like, is tonight the night that I ruined my life by watching this movie again? And I'm sure like people listening are probably like, what the fuck? You've watched so many other movies that are like on the same level. Something about Seven just fucked me up in a way that like a lot of movies don't. I think it's probably one of the most disturbing movies I've seen ever. I think I'd put it in a top 5, maybe a top 10. I'd have to actually sit down and look at the list, but that's where it lands.
Don't hold me to it, but it's definitely in the top.
It's got to be though, like, because it really affected me for days. Like I was fucked up. And going back and rewatching it again, you're like, holy shit, if you put yourself in the shoes of these people, like, this is awful. Life ruining.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's how I felt. How'd you feel about it?
Oh, I fucking love this movie. And see, this is why I curse for this specific reason, is because to say I love this movie, it doesn't have the impact of I fucking love this movie. So I haven't seen it in a while. And I guarantee I've seen it since 1995 over 20 times. I've always loved this movie, but I didn't realize how much until I rewatched it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And so my rewatch of this, God, I have cold chills now. I just want to go and hug all the actors and the director and thank them for this gift of this movie that this many years later, after this many watches, I was sitting here like, first of all, when they started acting, I was overcome with this breath of fresh air. It's probably because we watched it right after Cube, but I was just like, fucking good acting, man. Thank you. Thank you. Like just watching them and just loving them. I love, the darkness and the grit and the rain and the whole feel of the movie. I just thought everything was so fucking beautiful. And even towards the end, I know exactly what's going to happen. I have like tightness and anxiety in my stomach and my chest. Like, oh, fuck. Oh my God, he's about to find out. He's about to find out. And I've seen it so many times. At the end of the movie, I walked out into the living room and I was like, I fucking love that movie. And it prompted, fuck it, because maybe it'll change. This movie for me is a 5 out of 5. And maybe after hearing you and what you have to, maybe it'll knock it down. But starting out of the gate, I sat there with Steve and had a whole conversation for 30 to 40 minutes on what a 5 out of 5 is. I want to go back and reevaluate all my 5s.
Oh my God.
Because of how this impacted me. And so I was thinking through them, and they're 5s for different reasons, but definitely this was a point for me where I
was pinnacle. 5 out of 5.
Yeah. I was watching it with a critical eye as well, like really ready, like Tawny's not going to like this, or what if she doesn't like this, or what if she, you know what I mean? Like I was watching it, and for me, like fucking perfect 5 out of 5. And even Steve was challenging me. He's like, so you're saying that they couldn't have done better? Yep, that's what I'm saying. So anyways, that's how fucking much I love this movie, and I'm excited to talk about it.
Okay, awesome.
I'm really glad my headache went away, because
me too.
I really wanted it to go away so I could talk about this movie with as much passion as I have right now.
Oh, I'm excited. Okay. Yeah. Before we get into it, I do have something to bring up, because we had just while you mentioned it for Cube, we had the Cube crew come out, okay, in defense of this movie. So I just want to make sure their voices are heard. Okay. Because I think it's important. Erica from Homies of Horror, I think you saw this in our Discord server, mentioned that she loves the acting in that movie because she feels like it fits the tone. And I thought that was like a really great point, because it does feel like an over the top movie and script, like as a whole. And so I want to make sure that's represented. And then I got a text from Trevor. We had Trevor on the show, and he loves Cube in a way that he was like, it's in his top 5 sleeper hits of all time. So I just, people came out. They came out in support of Cube.
I think a lot of people like the movie.
And then I was even like, did I rate it too low? Because like I do love that movie. And I said that in our episode. I was like, I love this movie, but I do recognize that there are some like, it's flawed, but shit, we should make jackets or something. I just needed to give an update on that.
Make jackets for the Cube? You mean like
Cube crew?
Do it.
Cube crew.
I love it.
Do it. Don't get me one.
Don't waste your money on me, but I support you guys, because I also realize there's going to be people that don't feel that way about this movie. I mean, they're going to think I'm nuts. I mean, what Letterboxd was 4.3.
I mean, that's pretty high.
And you know what? I don't give a shit, because I fucking stand. I love it.
You like what you like,
Yes. I forgot.
I was just going to say, it's a cult classic. Just want to make room for those people who even thought even were down with the acting.
Yeah. That's good. I appreciate that, Erica.
Anyway, where should we start?
Yeah, where should we start with this one? I felt like I had something in my head and I don't. Anyway, it's gone. Where should we start? Well, I can say, how about this? I'll start with something that's just like this fun-ish fact, is that the director had such a shitty time making Alien 3. I guess it was like overall with the studio, just it was constant fight to get his vision. It was just like very exhaustive that he left making that movie thinking, I never want to direct another movie again.
Okay.
Can you imagine what would be missing from our lives had he not directed all these other amazing movies afterwards?
Yeah, that's true.
So crazy. But I want to send out a personal thank you to Brad Pitt and Morgan Freeman, because they fought and fought and fought and fought for this movie to be made how it was. For example, the studio wanted a bunch of different endings, not a head in the box ending.
Okay.
And Brad Pitt was like, I'm not going to do it unless that's what we do.
Oh.
Period. You know, there's lots of different things of the components of the movie or different pieces of the movie that the actors actually fought for it to be the way it was, or else they weren't going to do it.
They were going to walk. Okay.
And I thought that was fantastic, because I couldn't imagine it have been as impactful as it was any other way than how it was made. So
this is a total random side note, but this reminds me, did you know, this is another one of my favorite movies of all time, is Wayne's World. Did you know that Michael Myers fought for using Bohemian Rhapsody? Like the studio fought him on it and they didn't want to use it. And he was like, if you don't use this song, I walk. That was his card. And they used it, and it fucking revitalized Queen. Yes. As a band. Like people had kind of like not, forgotten about them. And then I think after that they went like platinum or something. I don't know the details, but there was something like it revitalized, an interest in Queen after that. I love that movie. I love that scene. It's fucking iconic. Can't beat it. It's amazing when I think actors, play their card like that.
Yeah.
If you don't do this, I'm walking.
Yeah.
When they really believe in it.
Yeah. There were several things throughout where they're like, no, it has to be this way. So for example, I guess we'll just start at the end. But we won't go too much into the end. But like at the end, it was going to be Morgan Freeman's character. Now the script was written how the movie played out. So that was the screenplay. But then they were like,
did
no.
someone else write the screenplay? This was something I was curious about.
The writer, no. What do you mean someone else?
Sometimes like the directors, like the writer also.
Oh, no, someone else. Okay. I think his last name was Walker. I don't remember his whole name. So sorry, but someone else wrote it, not the director. So they were going to have Morgan Freeman's character kill John Doe. So John Doe doesn't actually win. Right. And Morgan Freeman is already like on his way out, and Brad Pitt, Mills has his whole life ahead of him, or it was really a dog head in the box, or there was something else in the box, not her head. So John Doe tricks Mills kills him, and then Mills's life is ruined because he has to go to jail. But then Morgan Freeman takes care of Tracy and the baby, like all of this softening. Just fucking give it to me, man. And they did with what they did. And so like Morgan Freeman and Brad Pitt were like, nope, no, this is how we do it. And I think that is exactly how they should have done it, in my opinion. It's dark, but you're going to go through this whole dark movie. And then I mean, I don't know. I just think it was so fucking great.
I kind of like the idea of Somerset killing him so that he doesn't win. I feel like I'm sorry, I didn't even let you finish. I was just going to totally say no. No, it's okay. Keep going.
Because I think the way it played out really, really demonstrates human nature and how hard it is to overcome these feelings of like rage or all these things that we really do want to overcome, but it's so fucking hard. And I think how it plays out is more powerful, especially because of what you mentioned, how it ends, because there is still that glimmer. Because in the beginning, Somerset was like, they said, "Oh, where can we find you? Where are you going? Far away from here." He was like, fuck all of this. And then at the end, despite all of this, he's like, "I'll be around." And he's good. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I think that was powerful because of, despite, even though things did play out exactly how he was saying it would in general, because of how humanity is, there was still that little bit of hope because of that friendship he had with Mills, and he was going to stay around.
Yeah, that's great points. I agree. I don't dislike the ending by any means.
Okay, because the other ending could have been fine too, but
yeah, I do feel like if I was in the situation, if I was working at the studio and I was part of this, I think I'd fight for, let's let Somerset kill John Doe so that he doesn't win. He breaks the cycle basically, and he doesn't really have much to live for, but Mills has his wife and a baby that he doesn't know about. But again, I don't dislike the ending. And I think you're right. I think I like sometimes when it's bleak, in the bleak end of endings.
Because what we wouldn't have gotten, which is one of my favorite parts, is this whole beautiful scene of fucking Mills going through his emotions of denial, all the range of emotions for, where he's no way that's happened. He's denying it. Then he's he wants to kill him. He knows he shouldn't. He's struggling. Then he sees a flash of his wife fucking done. Boom, 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 boom. We wouldn't have gotten that either. And that was so powerful. Or he would have been doing, his thing and then Somerset killed him. I mean, I guess.
Would it have been as iconic of a movie with the other ending? Maybe not. That. I do feel like the ending sort of makes the movie. So
don't butter it up.
Don't. Yeah, I hear what you're saying. Don't soften it.
Yeah, because so many times, well, actually, I shouldn't say so many times, because I just thought back to all the movies we've watched, and there's the first one that popped up was Hereditary. And there's no softening. There's no buttering up. So I appreciate that.
Those are curated picks, though. There is a lot of softening. True. Yeah.
All right. So I guess we could just start wherever. How about we start at the very beginning? And I'll just say, I love that opening where you're getting a lot of hints about the murderer and what we're going to expect. I mean, the opening with the credits, with you see all the weird pictures and stuff like that, but you don't know that that's what you're seeing until you watch the whole movie. I thought that was creative. And I bring it up as well because the director intentionally, he was really focused on the opening scene and wanting to set people up for what they were about to experience, the darkness and the grittiness that they were about to experience.
Yeah. Mission accomplished.
The ending too, actually, the closing credits, he wanted it to look like was written by a murderer. So.
Oh, interesting. I did think this is the first time I think that I remember, I could be wrong, but watching the credits go the other way.
Yes.
Yes. It was reverse credits, which is really weird.
Yeah, that was really weird. I noticed that too. I love how now I do remember seeing it the first time, watching it all and not knowing not anticipating what was going to happen. And even knowing what the 7 deadly sins are, not knowing what was actually going to, what am I trying to say? What the murder was going to be for that sin. You know what I mean? It was very creative, and not having any idea that John Doe was envy and Brad Pitt was wrath, even though through the whole thing, Brad Pitt is, he's so stressed out all the time. But I remember not having any clue.
I didn't either. Thank God, because I feel like now, it's hard to not have this movie ruined for you, because the what's in the box is such a fucking joke and meme in and of itself that people kind of know what's going to happen, I think, even if you haven't seen the movie. So I'm grateful that I watched it in that way that I was seeing it for the first time and experiencing it. And I remember being shocked to shit also. Like, I was like, oh no,
Yeah.
This is a fucking like 5D chess shit that I did not see coming.
I love how they had these little Easter eggs throughout the movie. Not Easter eggs, that's the wrong term, but these little hints throughout the movie to what was to come. And I was like really watching closely this watch. And like when Somerset was at the library and he was looking at all the books with the, the different things, one thing that was highlighted, and even children were slain. I don't think I've ever noticed that before. And then, because her baby and just all the different little things that are throughout. And there was one thing that I didn't even know, and I actually went back to watch it. I just found out when I was researching, is when they're at the leather shop and they're talking to the guy, the leather shop owner, about the device he made for him, and that, this guy with the limp came in and picked it up just last night or what have you. You actually see a guy with a limp outside of the store watching the detectives. And so I went back yesterday, and when I saw that and I rewound it, and there he is watching them through I don't know. I like stuff like that.
Attention to detail.
Yeah. That's what I love.
Interesting. Yeah. I will say the thing that has stuck with me the most from this movie, which is probably true for everybody, is the fucking kills. Like, I will never forget, and I have never forgotten, even though I watched it one time when I was like fucking 16. Gluttony, lust, and sloth specifically, I think, are the top 3 most gruesome deaths. And obviously the ending. Like, I think I forgot details about this movie, but I would say overall this movie was burned into my brain. Like, I remember the ending, but the details were different. Like, I thought for some reason that he was Pride. I thought that Brad Pitt was Pride because in the beginning, because when I went to sit down and rewatch it, he comes in kind of like a hot shot. Oh, I've done this before. I wasn't just guarding the Taco Bell. He says, yeah. So I was thinking, I don't know why I got that element mixed up, because I couldn't remember. I remembered that he was a part of it and he became one of them, but I couldn't remember which. So when Pride came up and the girl had, killed herself, I was like, wait a minute. What? I was like, did I misremember this? But everything else is burned into my brain. And specifically those 3 kills are so fucking next level gruesome in a way that I have never experienced. That's why I said this has got to be one of the most disturbing movies I've seen. I have as a result of this movie, what's it called? An irrational fear of eating so much that my stomach bursts and I fucking die.
Like when you're uncomfortably full, you're like, oh shit.
I'm like half kidding, but I'm half serious. Like, I really worry about it. I asked a gastroenterologist at one point. It's like, is this a thing that can happen? She was like, no, you're probably okay. Like, but I'm like, but it gets kicked in the stomach. Like, what happens if I'm really full and I experience some sort of like bodily trauma that, it's fucking bursts my stomach? Is so stupid. But that's how much it like wormed its way into my brain,
That is funny.
And the other
you would vomit before that, I'm sure.
Yeah. Probably.
You most definitely
But what if
would.
I got hit?
Yeah, Tawny, there's this a big problem. If you're eating so much that you're about to vomit and then someone hits you in the stomach.
Yeah.
This is a weird situation.
Internal hemorrhaging. I'd probably make it to the hospital in time to save me.
No, but it is. But I understand, because after this movie, you wonder, oh, well, what is that breaking point? Obviously, this man was very, very large, but it's not like he became that large because this guy was feeding him. You know what I mean? He was already, that's why he was chosen as a victim. And then, John Doe did this torture to him. So like, really, what is the capacity of the stomach?
Right. Yeah. Well, and one thing that I did, this is a tiny, tiny nitpick, but one thing that I thought was really weird is the guy who's doing the autopsy is like, the stomach stretches. Like, yeah, bro, the stomach stretch, like, for everybody. Like, I don't know. It was a weird thing to say because I was like, the stomach is supposed to stretch when you eat more. But he said it in a way that was like,
I thought
like that shouldn't be happening. I don't know.
Oh, I thought he was saying it in a way of like, look at how much this stomach stretched. Because he lifts it up and it's giant and heavy.
Yeah.
Like, look at this. Like, look at how much the stomach stretches. Because usually we don't have to worry about it stretching this much.
Yeah.
Right?
It's supposed to be like the size of your, I don't know. I don't even know if that's a myth.
Yeah, but
that
look
might
at
be
it.
Totally.
It's like this.
Big,
look at how much your stomach stretches.
Yeah, just the way he said it. The way the line was delivered was like, the stomach stretches. And I was like, all stomachs stretch. I don't know. Like, it was just like, that's weird. It's a weird thing to say. But anyway, I really have been like scared of this since I watched this movie. So it planted a seed that can never be unplanted. And that's not something I can say for every movie, you know?
Not even by your gastroenterologist.
Yeah, right.
I could tell you about this scene specifically. Was so gross, the gluttony scene, that the first time Lynn Harris, who was the co-executive producer, visited the set was when they were filming Gluttony. And the set was so dank and so disgusting. The spaghetti sauce used in the scene had been sitting there for weeks before shooting commenced. The producer took one look, agreed everything was fine, and left. And then when Morgan Freeman arrived, he let out a long sigh of disgust. They also...
Not a long sigh of disgust.
Yeah, well, it's Morgan Freeman.
I thought somebody was going to throw up or something.
No,
it was just not that extreme.
But for 7 crates of cockroaches were released on the set and poured over the actor who played the gluttony victim, who was also in a giant prosthetic suit for hours and hours. Sometimes the actor something had to be put into his ears and nose to keep the cockroaches from crawling in.
Ew.
His ears and nose. And then but they did go into his underwear, and they had to put Vaseline to keep them all from scattering away too much.
What?
Mm-hmm.
Like
what? Vaseline on the surfaces and stuff. So they could film so that
they can't like get traction? What the fuck?
Well, yeah, so they can't scatter like the cockroaches.
They're like cartoon cockroaches? Like, you know, like when things try to run and they're running in place.
No, Tawny, you watched the movie. They weren't doing that.
No, but like, I don't understand why that would keep them from scattering.
They just to make it easier to film them. So it was just harder for them to run, I guess, because they were walking over the stuff with a Vaseline.
All right.
I don't know. But the main point was that...
I'm sorry, I'm like really digging into these details, but
I can look up more about the Vaseline. I think it was more just I was trying to illustrate how truly disgusting this set actually was.
Yeah.
Like week old spaghetti sauce, Vaseline that I'm not exactly sure. That's just what it said, to help keep the cockroaches in place is what it said. They used Vaseline.
At first I imagined like an outline of Vaseline to keep them in the same place. Cause you said to keep them from scattering, right? Like we don't want these cockroaches to get away. There are cockroaches that we're using for this scene. And so that's what I imagined at first. And then I imagined they just covered everything with Vaseline.
I thought that they maybe put Vaseline on stuff so that they just, not that they were stuck like a cartoon, but like they were walking slower than just like, this is what I imagine when, you know, like from movies, when you see cockroaches, they go, right. And they just like kind of just go everywhere and into, because it's an actual place, right? And then they're gone.
Yeah. You don't
actually make them kind of walk around so you could film them.
I'm sorry, but I have so many questions about this tiny piece of trivia.
Oh, shit.
I don't have
anything else about it though. I don't have anything else.
I'm not trying to attack your trivia.
Okay. I don't know anything else about the Vaseline, but I can definitely look it up.
We'll dig into that later. That'll be.
Yeah. Yes, please. I regret bringing it up. I'm just kidding. Anyways, it was a gross set. Gross.
Yeah. It's interesting. It's just an interesting choice. I feel like you could accomplish the same thing without that level of actual filth, like, all right, we got some
well,
method
you know what?
shit going.
Yeah, you can also pretend you're feeding someone vomit and not actually do it.
That's true.
AKA audition.
The things we do for art.
I thought it was really cool. One of the things is I tried to find where this was, but there was just too many scenes where they were looking at crime scene photos. But I guess in one of those scenes on the gluttony photo, it said that he was discovered dead on June 20th, 1995. And the movie came out in September 1995. So I thought that that was kind of a cool, it brings that like, oh shit, this just happened earlier this year, even though like it didn't happen. I just thought that that was I just like these thoughtful little pieces that you might not even notice.
Yeah.
I didn't notice, Did you know the sloth victim? He was actually that thin. But then of course makeup and like the makeup,
right. Prosthetics, I'm sure on that guy too.
Oh, 100%. Oh yeah. Okay. So the makeup took over 14 hours. And I read something where the director was like, for this, I want a man who's 90 pounds. And this particular actor was 96. And the director joked and said, okay, lose 6 pounds as a joke. And he did.
Oh my God.
So this man was very thin, but definitely a lot of makeup. It was something really cool. And I appreciate this as well. And it made me go back and watch it. When filming the sloth victim scene, the SWAT officers were not told that the victim was still alive. So when the actor coughs and scares the SWAT officers, all the reactions are real.
What about Brad Pitt and Morgan Freeman? Did they know?
SWAT officers.
Okay.
It didn't say anything about Morgan Freeman and Brad Pitt, but it did specifically say the SWAT officers didn't know.
Okay.
Because I'm thinking Morgan Freeman and Brad Pitt maybe must have known because it's part of because they have the next scene they have at the doctor's office where they're talking. But yeah, I really appreciate that. I think that's incredible. My husband is into MASH, and that's actually a MASH hat behind me. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because the other night he showed me this episode that I won't give anything away for anybody who watches MASH, but where this one character announces the death of a different character, and all the reactions were real because all of the actors, all the main actors, everybody, no one knew they were going to kill off that character. So when the guy comes in, it's just such an incredible, he rewound it after telling me and we watched it again. And they're like, there's people crying. They had no idea. Yeah. And they had been doing, this is a series, right? This series for what? Over, I don't know. You know how long the thing? 15 years? I don't even know. Yeah. So anyways, they were with this guy for so long. So I just appreciate that. I think it's really cool.
Yeah. To get the real reaction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I am excited to talk about this scene because again, it's one of the top standouts for me. This has never left me. I remember it almost exactly the way that it is. You know what I mean? Like I just, it is so gruesome. It is so disturbing that somebody would be stuck there. But I have a question. This is the only one that doesn't make complete sense to me because all the other kills are like representative of their sin, right? Like he kills the lawyer because he is taking money to be a defense attorney for bad people. He kills, the sex worker because she theoretically, produces or has lust or whatever. Like what each person represents that sin that he kills them for. This is the one I don't get. Why Sloth? This guy doesn't seem to, from what we know of him, they just give like a quick rundown of his criminal past. And none of that like added up to being slothful to me. I don't know. This was weird.
I had always thought it represented literally sitting around wasting away doing drugs. doing
Oh,
continue, like when they were saying, oh, this is the guy because of this, and he was a pedophile and this and this and that, when the cops are saying all of that
yeah.
stuff, because that's what they're focused on is his rap sheet. I thought it was because he was literally just wasting away and wasting his life away, just getting high and passing out, getting more drugs,
Okay.
and not doing anything else with his life except wasting away and doing drugs. That's why I thought he chose him.
Gotcha. It's like, okay. All right.
Because the cops aren't going to be completely focused on this. Wow, this guy is really wasting away and doing drugs a lot. They're going to be like, this is our criminal because look at his rap sheet.
Yeah,
right?
maybe it's because I don't understand the biblical inference of like sloth and what that means. I have always just thought sloth meant not being active. You know what I mean? Like, and I was like, they're reading his fucking ridiculously long rap sheet. And I'm like, yeah, this guy's awful, but he does seem to be pretty active. You know,
He's active. He's not
up
sitting
and about.
around playing video games.
He's out here doing some shit. It's awful shit, obviously, but he's doing things and he's being forced to be, he's forced being bedridden. And so I just didn't quite pick up on that, but I see what you're saying now.
So here I have a little tidbit on it, which is absolutely fair with what you're saying, because sloth, as one of the deadly sins, is the most difficult sin to define and credit as a sin, since it refers to an assortment of ideas, including mental, spiritual, pathological, and physical states. So any or all of those different states in habitual decline, or is also thought of as laziness. So I think that's what you're saying is when we think of sloth, we think of laziness, especially if you think of the animal, the sloth, and how slow it moves. But it could be mental, spiritual, pathological, or physical decline or laziness within those. Without care is another thing, like just not caring about any of those things whatsoever. So kind of putting it in that sense, if all you were doing is just getting your next hit, taking drugs, passing out, waking up, doing it all over again, it also kind of fits within that.
Affecting other people in a bad way. Like I know that they mentioned, he was a child molester. So he's, that's obviously like working against society in a way that is not productive. I didn't think of it that way until now. I just was like,
it would, there's a little thing here about sloth. It involves an aversion to effort, and the moral danger of sloth lies in this aversion to effort, to be better, to do better.
I definitely have an aversion to effort.
No, shut up, Tawny. No, you don't. You have a red lip on right now.
If I
was no aversion to effort. I know red lips take effort. So
yeah, it's not physical. I don't have to have a physical. If I were one of the 7 deadly sins, it would be sloth.
No.
I think that would be me.
Really?
Yeah. What do you think yours would be? Or gluttony?
No way. Tawny. Yeah. Sloth, you get up, you have your clothes on, you have a job that you exert effort to, you show up here to do the podcast. I don't think you're slothful.
I'm pretty sedentary. Just today, I was like, I really need to do something about this. I'm like ultra sedentary. I do get up, I work, but I work from home. I sit on the couch. I barely take my dog out for walks. That's Jade. He takes Lily out. I don't exercise anything. Like I live an incredibly sedentary life.
Okay, so let's go to the other side. You think you overeat?
It's not overeating. It's more about me being greedy with my food. It's more about not sharing.
I don't think that's gluttony. I think gluttony is literally like, I'm eating this, I'm fucking eating that, and I'm eating this, and I'm eating and consuming, and you can't stop. That's gluttony.
Okay. I thought
is consuming.
I guess I always thought gluttony was greed, but in food. You know what I mean? Like you're hoarding the food. You don't let other people eat your food. I'm
Oh,
definitely that.
no, I think, well, hold on one second because I want to make sure. I always thought gluttony as it's, oh, I see what you're saying, because it is habitual greed or excess in eating. Gluttony means overindulgence and overconsumption of food, drink, or wealth items as status symbols.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's overindulgent and overconsumption.
That's me.
Oh, shut up.
of food and drink. 100%. Yes.
Okay. So this sloth and gluttony combination that you're sharing is dangerous. I don't move and I consume everything.
I know. Felicia's like, I'm concerned. I know, me too.
I really think you should worry about that bursting stomach now, actually.
Yes, yeah. I know.
Kidding.
Doesn't it make sense now?
Yes, it makes sense now. My deadly sin?
Yeah, what would yours be?
Definitely wrath. Unfortunately. Okay. I don't want people thinking I'm out like fucking slitting throats or anything. That's not the case. But I get really agitated and frustrated easily, which is and lose my temper. However, with all this meditation and yoga I'm doing, because that's the point.
Right.
Well, that's not the only point, but that's one of the points. I am much, much, much better. But that would be historically what has been the hardest thing for me, is that not getting so worked up, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. The other ones, nah, that one. But I'm much better. But you could, I still like if somebody was to flip me off on the road or something immediately.
Yeah.
So,
or do something really bad to you. Like, I think wrath is one that everybody identifies with. Mm-hmm. Like, there are some that are a little more esoteric. I feel like, I don't know, pride for me, like, doesn't register. Like, I don't really know what that looks like in a day-to-day situation, I guess. But, like, wrath for sure. It's like, if somebody did something bad enough to you, I think all of us are capable of doing horrible shit in return,
Yeah. Yeah. I tend to, I don't know if I do it. I still do it to this day. I'm just not as hot headed as like when I was a teen. I would stop the car and jump out to be ready to get in a fight. But now I don't do that. But I do get that twinge. Like if somebody's looking at me, they might not even be looking at me. I don't know. Just be going to the grocery store and they're looking at me, but maybe they're thinking about something. But to me, they're like mad dogging me. I'd be like, the fuck is your problem?
Yeah.
I have that feeling immediately. So I would say that
I'll fucking fight you.
Yeah. I drop my purse, tell TT to go stand over there by the flowers. What the fuck, dude? No, I'm just kidding. I don't do that anymore, but I get the feeling of what's that person's problem, like immediately. And that's a problem because could be anything. And who cares at the end of the day, even if they were looking at me like that bitch, so what?
Yeah.
All right, so there we go.
All right.
I would love it. And, we should tell Haley, because I would love a post on this too. If everyone shares what they think their deadly sin is.
Oh, totally. Yeah. Because I feel like there's so many different ways you can look at it and fall into, you know what I mean? These for different reasons. Again, for me, gluttony, I feel like I should defend myself and just mention that I'm an only child. So I've never had to share my food with anybody. And I'm very protective about it. And so don't judge me.
I'm an only child too, but I have children. And so fucking not, you have to share everything at that point.
Yeah.
You might not like having babies, Tawny.
See, another reason not to have children. Yep. Cannot be sharing my food.
If I had to pick two, I would probably say lust, according to the Catholics. Right. According to a Catholic priest, I like butter and I like living deliciously. I like some really beautiful lingerie. This is probably the priest, the Catholic priest is like,
going to hell.
Lust, you're going to hell. Wrath and lust.
Wrap it up. You're going downstairs, lady.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. The thing is, there's like a handful of these scenes, but again, I think lust overshadows the other two. Pride and greed take a back seat to the other three in my mind.
100%.
Because you either don't see a body or, they don't spend a lot of time on it. But lust, is fucked.
Oh, it's a hard one. That was one scene that was seared into my, and it's so, the other ones are so visually graphic, right? Like you're seeing, like especially gluttony, like you're the whole body, the cockroaches, the food, the stomach, like you are in it. You're totally in it. And then you're right. The other two, like Pride and Envy, you see the bodies, but it's like kind of quick and it's not really a focus. But this one, it's just almost, you might even miss it if you're not paying attention.
Yeah. It's actually like you don't see anything.
Really? Yeah, you see the lady's leg, but the cops are blocking it. So you have an idea, and all you see is just this sheet, but there's a very giant erection in that area, and it's and so you know it's without knowing.
Yeah, from seeing the contraption before, you know what has happened. I will say something that this movie is very good at is not showing you what has happened, but giving you the details to fill in the gaps for yourself in a fucked up way. Like, you know, this was fucked up. You have to imagine what happened versus them showing you what happened. I think that is really powerful because it's a way to not show the monster, so to speak.
Yeah.
You do it in your own brain, which is worse.
Yep.
Than showing it. And this one, I think by far does the best job of that because it does show the least. You know what happened.
Yep.
And you don't need any more explanation than that. And
yeah, you didn't even see the contraption until after you see the lust scene. Then they're interrogating and they drop the picture and show it to the guy.
I think you do see it before, don't you?
No.
When they go to the leather shop?
He's just talking about, no, they don't. I rewound it. No, they're looking at the picture and they look at him.
Oh.
And then they take the picture. So then you are in this scene where you see her leg, you see something's going on with the guy and you have this idea, but then when they're interrogating, they drop the picture in front of them.
Shit, dude.
And then you see it.
It must be from watching it before. And again, having it seared into my brain that I knew what it was.
Yeah.
Because I thought you saw the picture before.
Yeah, you don't see the picture before. So this something really amazing as well about this scene and the man that played Leland Orser, who played the man who was forced to rape the woman.
Yeah.
As preparation for this traumatic scene in the interrogation room, he would breathe in and out rapidly. So his body would be overly saturated with oxygen. So he would start hyperventilating. He also did not sleep for a few days prior to filming in order to achieve this character's disoriented look.
Listen, I'm not out here to say that I support method acting, but I will say, of all the acting in this movie, for me, this guy takes the cake. Number one.
So good.
Amazing performance from this guy. Tiny part of the movie. He's just in here for like, couple minutes max. But this guy fucking shines. Get him an Oscar. He's like, just amazing job. And that makes sense. The level of preparation. Like, he seems actually panicked. I have never in my life felt so bad for both parties in something like this, right? Because you obviously feel like, oh my God, I cannot imagine being on the receiving end of that. Jesus fucking Christ. What would that be like?
Horrific.
Awful.
Oh God.
And then you think, shit, it would be also fucking terrible to be on the giving end of that. Forced.
I almost even feel like, not worse, but it's just like wrapping your mind around that and doing that to someone else when that's not your inclination as a human being at all.
Right.
Like, this is not something you enjoy. You know what I mean? You're not into that. And, it's so easy for someone to say, I wouldn't do it. I'd rather be shot. Bitch, you don't know that.
Yeah.
If you actually have a gun to your head, you don't know what you would do. And it puts you in that state. And I love how he is defending himself, even though he also at the same time is feeling like, I shouldn't have done it, but he's trying to convince himself and everybody that he had to do it. Oh, fucking great, man. 10
out of 10 performance. Just this guy. Amazing. And it's so sad, so disturbing.
Yeah. And I also liked the club owner, the questions they're asking him, you didn't see anyone with a pack. Everyone comes in with a baggage. Look, like what exactly am I supposed to notice? Or, did you see the place? Like it's a fucking utter chaos. Did you? Oh man.
Ugh.
That was intense. That's
Awful.
the one I remember the most as well, including Sloth and Gluttony for sure. Those are the ones that stomp the most, but Lust,
they show you disturbing. So little, God, and it just sticks with you. Ugh.
I love how this whole movie plays out, even to when you discover that he was the photographer, or just all of these things that were linked throughout the entire thing. And you just don't know. You don't catch them. You're along for the ride. They take you along this ride and then go, booyah, right in your face. You're like, fuck, oh shit. I love that feeling. I love being tricked that way.
Yeah.
It's like my favorite thing. I wanted to tell you something about Kevin Spacey that I thought was very cool. Okay. So the producers intended that Kevin Spacey should receive top billing at the start of the movie, but he insisted that his name not appear in the opening credits so as to surprise the audience with the identity of the killer. To compensate, he is listed twice in the closing credits. Also, another advantage from Spacey's point of view, as he saw it, was that he was excluded from the film's marketing during its release as well. So he didn't appear for any public appearances or do any interviews or anything for the movie. And it was a complete surprise that he was the killer that was in the movie. And I thought he did fucking great. He did amazing. All of them did. Absolutely amazing.
I'm going to be honest. There is something about Brad Pitt's acting in this that just doesn't hit for me. I actually don't know if it's his acting ability or maybe it's a combo, but I do not like his character. But I also feel like the acting is fucking off. There's something weird. Sometimes it feels like he has an accent. Sometimes it doesn't. His whole, like, what's in the box at the end, rewatching it this time.
You didn't like the ending scene?
It's not that I didn't like the ending scene. It's just the delivery of the lines. Again, maybe it's because it's become like a joke of itself now. But it's like it takes too long. I feel like he goes over the what's in the box like 18 fucking times. Like I'm like, I don't think I've ever watched Brad Pitt in a role and been like, had any sort of reservations about his performance, except for this time, as I rewatched, and I was like, I don't like this. Something about it is weird. And sometimes it's because he has like marble mouth too. Like I can't fucking hear what he's saying. Mm-hmm. I don't know. There's a lot of weird moments with Brad Pitt in this for me.
Oh, fuck. I thought he was perfect. I thought that whole ending was fucking perfect. I had tears in my eyes. Of course he's saying what's in the box. What is he going to say? He is wrapping his mind around the fact that his wife's head may be in the box, but no one's actually said it, right? Because John Doe says, I took a souvenir, her pretty head. And then he starts really listening to him. Then he's like, what's in the box? And he's going through this. But I think the problem is all the motherfuckers that made a joke out of it in the box. Fuck them. Because you think about it. Somerset is not saying it's her head, man, or anything. He's like, what? And he's going through all of this. I was like, no way. Just tell me. And this whole up and down situation, I had tears in my eyes, and I've seen it over 20 times. It was fucking brilliant. I really stand by that. Anybody who said, okay, I will let all of you Cube people say, I will accept that you're saying that acting was good in that movie for the movie it was. I accept that. I do not accept that Brad Pitt did not fucking kill it in this ending scene, going through all of those emotions, just fucking the shock not having any idea, also realizing that he's totally fucking lost the game, thinking that he had power over this guy the whole time. Just imagine all the shit. Oh, I need to kill this guy. His rage. No, I can't because I can't fucking kill him. He'll win. Just all the shit.
I hear you.
Yeah. Okay, we're gonna move past this.
I hear you. I respect your opinion. I do think Brad Pitt is a great actor. Something about this doesn't fit for me. And it could be many things, right? It could be the editing. It could be the script, which honestly, that's another thing that I want to talk about is I think the script is a little clunky. Dialogue's a little clunky in some moments. So I think that could aid in it because you wouldn't say what's in the box 18 times. You would say,
really?
You would say, what is it? What happened? What's over there? Where's my wife?
Would you? I'm wondering, Tawny, how you know so specifically if you were in that situation and Jade's head was in the box and you had that fucking killer right there and you have just investigated all those fucking murders and you're out in the desert, that you for sure would say, well, I don't want to say what's in the box again because I've already said it.
Okay. I think we're both saying the same thing on different ends of the spectrum. It's like the realism aspect. Would you say different things because you feel like it's weird to say the same thing versus, would you?
Because I can see that, like, what's in the box? And he's thinking, he's like, no, fuck, no, what's in the box?
Right.
Like the whole thing of it. I didn't think it.
Something about it, dude. It lost the tension for me. And maybe it's because I've seen it and I know what the ending is, right? So I definitely.
So have I, though.
I know, I get that. But I think, like, if you're not like totally, this is a 5 out of 5 movie for me, I'm totally sold on it. I love it. I've watched it 20 times. The second time or beyond the first time that you watch it, you know what's going to happen, right? So the tension is at least somewhat broken in the way that you know what it is. And I feel like it's just they spend so much time on this and there's like 3 shots where he's holding the gun about to do it and he's like, what's in the box? Like it's like,
of course though, but that's the point. He's struggling with himself. He's struggling with his rage and not having that rage. He's struggling with, I'm going to kill you. Fuck. But no, because Somerset's telling him too. He wins. He doesn't want him to win. He knows as well as a cop, he shouldn't be shooting this guy in the head. All of this is overflowing with him. So yeah, he's lifting his gun and down. And I honestly feel we need all of that in order for that last moment where the picture of his wife flashes in front of his eyes and done.
Right.
Composure.
I liked that moment. I thought that was good. I just think, and again, I think it may be not blamed on one thing for me. It's
the people who created the memes. I'm mad at them.
I definitely think it's part of it for sure. Yeah, for sure. I think, you can't help but think of that as a joke now. Right?
Because I've never seen a meme about 7.
You've never? Okay.
No, I swear to God, I haven't seen a joke about 7. Well, back then there was no memes. Right. And stuff like that. Right. So
but now it's like people will like take the audio clip, right? Like of like, what's in the box? I don't know. It's just, I'm glad that I saw it before I saw all of that content, right? Because I think it would have given me even less of an appreciative viewpoint on it. But there's something about this that doesn't work for me. And I hear what you're saying. I totally think that's a valid way to feel. Just for me, something is fucking weird here. And I can't put my finger on it. I think it's a combo. I think it's the acting, it's the script, it's the editing, it's the direction. All of it, and it's not that I dislike what happens, right? I like what happens in the final moments. It's just the way that it's executed. Something is fucking weird.
Okay. I hear you.
For me.
I hear you.
It's just my opinion, man.
I think it was all executed beautifully and perfectly.
That's fair. We can agree to disagree.
Yes, definitely. Yes.
But also Brad Pitt through the whole thing is weird to me. I'm like, I don't know, something about but I think a lot of this is the dialogue. I think the dialogue is clunky. It's really clunky in moments. Like he's like, when he's talking to Somerset in the car about when the detective that he was with gets shot. And he's like, yeah, I remember getting in the ambulance. By the way, there's like 4 different times in the script that somebody says, I remember blah, 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 blah. Like, it's like, okay, I'm seeing a pattern here. It feels like a script. It feels like a script that they just put on screen. They should have done some like workshopping, in my opinion. I know I'm being really nitpicky, but there's just something about watching this now that I felt like something is weird here. And it's like they didn't workshop it when they got on set. Like, this doesn't feel like a natural thing to say, So they're in the car and they're talking about when the guy got shot and he was like spun him like a top. He was like, I remember getting in the ambulance and he died right there. Right there. He says it twice. He's like, right there. Right there. I'm like, that's just not a thing that you do. You know what I mean? In like reality. And you also don't, there's several moments of this that you don't talk like that. Nobody talks like this. It feels like a well-written script that when you read it on paper, you're like, this is fucking brilliant. But then you put it on screen and it feels fucking contrived. And I'm not saying the whole thing was bad. Yeah. But there's moments. And I think Brad Pitt's character, both because probably the way that the acting doesn't totally line up for me. I don't know why he's the only character for me that doesn't.
So with that, I hear you. I loved it. I thought I thought he did that moment really well. I repeat myself all the time. I don't think that this is not how you would speak. And he was also not fully focused on what he was saying because he was trying to remember the man's name. And remembering who it was bothering him because that was an impactful moment in his life. And also he's telling the story about, wanting to share, and it was bothering him. He didn't remember the guy's name. So he's like right there. And so then when he says right there again, it's almost like he's like ending. It's almost like he's trying to prompt that memory of what his name is. Cause then he goes right into what's his name. That's how that scene felt to me. I loved Brad Pitt's acting. I didn't like his character either. But that's a good thing for me. What I'm trying to say is it was good because the character irritated me in a way he should have. Because he was hot-headed, like when he kept going, like when Somerset would say something, he'd be like, oh, I'm like, motherfucker, shut up. Because obviously he knows what he's doing. But that's how you're supposed to feel until they meet, till it all comes together in the end. I would say the one thing, if I could pick out anything that kind of bothered me, which I just settled within myself, was Gwyneth Paltrow's acting. I thought it was very, or maybe not her acting, just the character, hi, come in, like this loving sort of like, you don't even know this person. Or when she calls him, meet me at the diner, please. I just thought it was odd, but so it wouldn't ruin it for me. I was like, okay, there may be a human being like this. And she's very alone. There's absolutely nothing. The city is disgusting. So maybe, maybe. And maybe that's just how she talks. And then that helped me move past it.
I didn't mind her acting, but I also agree that like her as a character within her interactions with other people was fucking weird. Like I did think her calling Somerset felt so weird and inappropriate. And then she like sits down to meet with him. And I was like, I tried to be like, okay, yeah, I guess this makes sense. It's the only person you've met in this town. Like, yeah, sure. Okay, I'm on board with all that. But then they have that conversation where he's basically like, yeah, I forced my ex to have an abortion and you should have an abortion too. That's my fucking like advice for you, basically. And if you do, don't tell him. If you don't, spoil that kid, whatever. And then that whole conversation happens. It's like very heavy. And her reaction to him is like so grateful. She's like, I didn't write a lot of notes for this movie. This is one of my notes. She's like, thank you, William. Thank you. It's like, thank you. The whole time I'm like offended on behalf of this woman. Like, how dare you tell me to abort this? Like, yeah. What? I mean, he didn't tell her what to do, but you know what I mean? He's like, he's taking a very pessimistic approach And I feel like if I were on the receiving end of that conversation, I'd be like, I'm done with this. You know, I'd leave. I'd be like, this is not what I was looking for. Basically, I don't know. It just felt really weird for her to then turn around and be like, so grateful. You know, she's like, thank you so much for this conversation. Oh my God, I'm so glad. I felt like it was like, I'm so glad you're friends with my husband. And thank God you're somebody that we met that's here. It just was so bizarre. I don't know. Maybe there's like a deleted scene or something that happens. Okay.
Yeah, but not maybe there was deleted scene. There were so many different things. I don't remember which ones they filmed and which they didn't. But yes, I totally agree with you. That was one thing that, not necessarily the abortion, because I felt like she also was thinking that she might want to do that because the city was so gross. And so he's like, yeah, I agree. You should.
Yeah.
But I guess in the beginning, an original beginning was that Somerset was going out to see a house like outside of the city. This is where he was going to retire and he was going to move. And then there was something along the lines of like, there was a picture of this house and he cut out a rose that was on I don't remember exactly, but there was something like that represented the house that he carries along with him. And he shares all this with her when they're at the dinner scene, because when he's taking off his gun, the little rose falls on the ground. She asks about it and they talk and they really bond, him and her. So I think, but then they removed all of that with the rose. And so I think maybe, and I don't necessarily disagree with that, but removing all of that. But on the other hand, maybe that's why all of a sudden, okay, they had dinner together, but they're not that close but I guess they had quite a friendship where they bonded a lot over that.
I kind of do wish that was still in there. I mean, I know it's a long movie. It's 2 hours as is, you know, so you have to kind of trim something, and it makes sense still, I guess, because she even says like, you're the only person I know here. So there's a thread at least that connects those things. But I did feel like this is fucking weird. If I were on the receiving end of this phone call, I would be like, why are you calling me? You know, this is inappropriate. You came over for dinner or I came over for dinner once, you know, and I'm like closer with your husband than I am you. Like, why? What? I don't know. It's just very weird.
Yeah.
So her whole involvement it feels a little shoehorned in, you know, probably because of those scenes that are missing.
Yeah. Yeah. I can totally see that. Brad Pitt was saying that Gwyneth Paltrow's character is supposed to be the only sunshine that we have in the film. That's why she's sweet and caring and gentle, and then she's struggling and we feel for her. So that's probably why with that piece.
Yeah.
We obviously had to have her to have what we have at the end.
Right.
Yeah.
But something about their relationship too just didn't, like, I don't know, there was no chemistry there. There was so many.
Her and Brad Pitt, really?
Yeah.
I thought that they were sweet.
I just
like in the morning, and they're not together that often, you know, because it's usually them on the road.
Yeah, we don't see a lot of them, but the moments that we see with them, I'm just not sold on. So she just feels like, I don't know, it just feels kind of I think I can't help but feel like a lot of this feels superficial. Like I'm saying with the script and the acting and that relationship with Tracy, it just doesn't feel like really deeply fleshed out. It doesn't feel like this like deep. It feels like all the focus went on the plot and this guy who's killing these people in the 7 Deadly Sins way, which isn't like bad. You know, we still end up with a really great movie. It's a great movie. But I don't know. Just watching it again, I'm like, there's something to be desired. And I had like problems with it that I couldn't reconcile, that I was just like, this feels messy. I can't like identify with any of these people. The person that I identify with the most is Somerset, you know, and I think that's intentional, but the rest of this stuff feels like fluffy. And I don't know.
I really liked their relationship. I thought we saw just enough of them cuddling. There was also that bit of tension and guilt She's really trying to make the best of it, even though it's just shitty. She hates it there.
Yeah.
And he feels guilty, but he also really wants, to be here doing this job and make it work.
Do you know why? I feel like they don't give us a reason in the movie. Why does he want to be there? Why did he fight to get reassigned there?
I think because it's so bad there and he wants to make big changes. I think that where he was, he did get, those types of things, and he was a detective, but here's where things need the most help because he was very idealistic. Here, this city, there's a lot of shit that needs cleaning up, that needs help, and he felt like he would be able to contribute to that.
Okay.
Versus, every once in a while something happens out where they lived outside of the city.
Yeah, they were like in the country, presumably.
Yeah, he wanted to be in the mix of it. He wanted to make a big impact, I think.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Something interesting about Brad Pitt actually in that chase scene. And that was something that was one of Brad Pitt's suggestions as well. He wanted to do this chase scene where you were confused and you didn't know where the guy was. He said he hates chase scenes where you turn a corner, there's the person. You turn another corner, there's the person. And you're constantly finding him. He goes, that's not realistic, especially in a sea of people in a city. But of course, he has to catch sight of him, so he knows where to go. Well, anyways, within that scene, he actually did fall and his arm went through a window and it sliced open and he had to have surgery on it. So that whole cast thing is all real.
Oh, shit.
And I guess he walked up to the director and the director felt like Brad Pitt said that was the first time I saw like him ever get squeamish. You could actually see the bone in Brad Pitt's arm. So there's scenes, I wanted to go back and check where it was before the chase scene that they had to shoot, and his hand is kind of hidden in those scenes. But then the whole cast thing moving forward was real because he had to have surgery on his arm.
Oh, shit. Okay. So this is something that I picked up on, the feeling lost in this chase scene. But I will say that I felt like this. I'm sorry, Felicia. I'm just coming to you with complaints today.
It's okay.
I got problems with this movie. I got complaints. And I don't want you to hate me after this, but
I don't at all.
But this is one of the things that I had a hard time with because I was really lost in a geography way. Like I was like constantly like, where is everything in relation to everything else? Especially with the chase scene, which I can appreciate that they did that for a reason now, that it feels more realistic that you're not hitting landmarks. Yeah. And so I get that. But I felt like that through the entire movie. Like, I'm like, there's a library that's also the precinct for some reason. And like, I felt like Somerset's apartment was the same as Mill's apartment. Everything felt actually very claustrophobic, and it felt like they reused the same sets over and over again. So I actually was curious coming into this conversation. I wondered if it was a small budget and they did reuse.
Oh yeah, I didn't see anything about that.
And but it doesn't seem like it. Like it was what, 33 million budget.
Yeah.
And so it's I don't know. Everything felt very like it felt like they ran through that precinct in the chase scene. I was like, wait a minute, what? But maybe it was just that the buildings all look kind of similar. Like the
library wasn't in the precinct. Why? The library was the library, and the night guards were there because he took a like. I didn't think that was the precinct. I thought that was the library. There's big, beautiful libraries like that in cities.
I think it was just the buildings all look the same. Like you have like this big lobby with like big columns and everything's kind of like, that set felt the same to me as the library set. And you don't see books really, but I was like, this feels like the same location,
Oh, I don't know. I don't know about that.
Okay.
I didn't feel that necessarily. I do remember wondering if Somerset was in an apartment or a house and then trying to envision what that would be like. But I guess I don't really need to know where I am at in the city.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To like, I don't know.
It bothered me in a way that I just needed like some establishing shots, some exterior wide shots or something, because I constantly feel like we're like just here, like it's just medium close-ups on everybody with the same type of stuff in the background that I was like, I felt like the Gluttony house was the same as their apartment. Like I felt like they just reused kind of these sets and just dressed them differently to like,
I didn't feel
nothing
that.
stood out. You know what I mean?
The absolute decrepit filth and falling apart didn't stand out.
Well, that's a good question. All of this movie feels very like dirty and gritty, and yeah, for sure there's like
that was intentional.
There's higher levels. Yeah, I think that's like a David Fincher special, right? Like I think that's actually one of the things I like the most about this movie is that it does look so dirty and gritty and real and worn down, decrepit. Like all of that is great. I needed some kind of separation to visually like get really quick, like, okay, now we're in a different place, because it's paced pretty fast. Even though it's a 2-hour long movie, we jump from scene to scene. And I have a hard time, like, the first scene we're in Somerset's apartment, we cut immediately to the first murder scene that has nothing to do with the later murders. But I thought he was in the same apartment. I was like, is he in his same fucking building?
Oh,
for a second, like I just constantly was like, where are we? Everything is so uniform. I just needed something,
I didn't feel that way. I really felt each separate location and how different, which would be the case in a city, right? You would have a grand penthouse, like say the model or the lawyer dude lived in, and then absolutely broken down, decrepit buildings that people are holding up in. And, I did see a lot on, they wanted to keep the location ambiguous. So you see it was shot in LA, but you see a New York pizza behind you. So people think, oh, it's New York, but
it feels like Chicago for some reason. Like I thought it was Chicago.
I think there's a New York pizza here in Arizona. You know what I mean? That's just like a thing to call the pizza. There's no, and the police badge just says Metropolitan Police. It doesn't say where it is. And I think that was intentional because it could be anywhere. Could be anywhere.
Any big
city.
Yeah.
Any big city. Absolutely. But fair enough. I didn't feel that way. I did feel like we are here. Definitely everything. It gave you the feel of just how run down and crime ridden these, this city is in its worst parts.
Yeah. Very gritty. Well done in that respect.
The primary influence for the film's screenplay came from Andrew Kevin Walker. He's the one who wrote it. I did have his name. As he spent time in New York while trying to make it as a screenwriter, he said, I didn't like my time in New York, but it's true that if I hadn't lived there, I probably wouldn't have written 7.
Okay.
So he must not have had a good time in New York. That's all I can say. Oh God, it must have been terrible.
Yikes.
Let me tell you this. Remember all those books that Somerset was going through that John Doe had created? All of John Doe's books were real books written for the film. They took 2 months to complete and cost $15,000. And according to Morgan Freeman in the film, he says it would take 2 months to read all of these. Remember, he says it would take 2 months for all of this police officers to read all these books. That's how long it took to read. Isn't that amazing? Like, why would they even? That's just like next level. You don't need to. He's only looking at a couple books. Yeah. You just need a bunch of worn out notebooks. It's not like they actually go through all of them. No, they wrote them all.
I know why. I would be like, that's a waste of money and time.
I'd be like, Fincher, why are we doing this?
Yeah. I would totally ask that question. This does not make sense, bro. We could do like 5. We could do 5 notebooks.
We're not even going to be looking at all these notebooks. Like,
they just have to be closed. They just need to look a little worn from the outside. We can
have some that's open, and literally that only takes making sure that 2 pages are full. But that's what he did. David Fincher told Kevin Spacey and Brad Pitt, this is not going to be the movie that you're remembered for. but it may be the movie you're incredibly proud of. And Brad Pitt says he considers this to be one of the most perfect movies he has ever made. But Brad Pitt, not according to Tawny.
Sorry, Brad Pitt. I'm sorry.
Something I always appreciated about Brad Pitt was he never wants to be a sex symbol. And I've heard stories about this where like in 12 Monkeys, like he just really like went for it because he was constantly put as a sex symbol. And this in particular, he did not want to take off his shirt in this movie. He had just filmed Legends of the Fall and came out as people's sexiest man or something.
Okay.
And he did not want to perpetuate that. He didn't want to continue it on. And so he did not want to take off his shirt at all for this movie.
I can respect that. I'm sorry that didn't work for you, Brad Pitt.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
It's not gonna work.
Objectified all over for several years. Sorry about it.
Oh, that library thing, just so everybody knows, and I'm sure you know by now, that it is the Patriot Act of 2001 did give the government the ability to look into library records, but we all know that, and I'm sure I'm on a list, no doubt. This is one thing I know it seems like I'm going through. I just glanced at this. I wanted to know why he said this. So when Mills lists motives that the killers give, one of them is Jodie Foster told me to do it. Remember? And I was like, what is this from? I want to know why he says that. John, and you may know it, but for those who don't, like me, John Hinckley Jr., who was obsessed with Jodie Foster, attempted to assassinate President Ronald Reagan on March 30th in 1981 in order to impress her. And then the made me do it also came from, Mills also says the dog made me do it, which is David Berkowitz, the son of Sam. I'm sure a lot of people know that. Or maybe not. Maybe I shouldn't have glossed over that. He says the dog made me do it because that's what David Berkowitz said, made him do it. He's the son of Sam.
Holy shit. No, didn't know either of those. I thought Jodie Foster was just a Silence of the Lambs, like, nod.
Oh, so did I at first.
Yeah.
But no, that's why, because of that guy.
Okay.
And so, yeah. And then David Berkowitz, for those who don't know the son of Sam, he said his dog was possessed by the devil and the dog told him to kill all those people.
Yeah, I didn't know that either.
1976.
Wow. Okay.
Huh.
Deep.
Nice.
Deep cuts.
Yeah.
From this movie.
The car ride. I really liked how they filmed Kevin Spacey or John Doe through the whatever, the
grate.
They're not bars, but yeah, the grate in the cop car. I thought that was really, really cool. Something about this scene though, neither Brad Pitt or David Fincher are happy with the way the car ride at the end with John Doe in the back and Mills and Somerset in the front seat played out. The chief concern is that they were forced to loop the entire scene after the fact due to issues with picking up sound in the car on the day of shooting. So Pitt feels the looped dialogue caused the scene to lose its breath. I don't know what that means, Tawny. What does that mean? They had to loop it. Do you know? They had to loop it?
I don't know. I think it could mean several things potentially. Maybe like they had to do it over and over again and
it lost its... Oh, gotcha. Because of the sound. Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
The fake head of Gwyneth Paltrow was created to go in the box, but they ended up not showing it, which I think was a good call and don't need to see it. I think not seeing it was cooler, but they did use it several years later in Contagion, in the autopsy scene in Contagion. 16 years later, they used that head.
Okay. That's nice. Somebody held on to that. Like, listen.
Really held on to that.
This is my life's work.
Or did she hold on to it and then come up and go, oh, guys, hey, I already have my head.
Did she take it? Yeah.
I don't know.
I would take it.
I would take it.
Just for the off chance that I would get to use it in the future. Mm-hmm.
Oh, I have all capital letters in this note here. God, this shot. Rain plus gun. Fuck me. This is literally what my notes say because I'm in the dark when I'm trying to write. I loved that when he gets hit with a crowbar. Mills gets hit with a crowbar. John Doe jumps down and puts that gun to his head, and the rain coming off of his face with the gun to his head. God, I fucking love this movie. You hated this part too, Tawny? How did you not like that? Okay, I couldn't tell by the way you were nodding your head.
I don't have any strong feelings about it.
Okay.
I mean, I was like, why would you stand in front of a van that's on? Like, that's the one moment that I was like, this seems ridiculous. Like, you're definitely going to get ran over. Because but there was
no one in there.
It sounded like it was on though from the sound design.
Oh no, I think the car is on, but he looks and no one's in the car.
Oh, okay.
I thought maybe they were unloading the truck.
I still wouldn't do it.
He looks up.
What if somebody was hiding down in there? You know, you're going to get your ass ran over. I'm not trying to get ran over.
Yeah, I think there's. Yeah,
that was my only opinion in this moment.
You're chasing and you're in this situation. You're trying not to get shot, and you're like, I don't know. I think he did run in front of the car and then probably realized, oh fuck, and he looked and no one was in there. I mean, there's just a lot. I think we're underestimating how fucking much you have to take in, how quick you have to make your decisions, how, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't think it comes as easy and as clear as like, well, I'm not going to go over there. And you know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
That's fair. I think we're both biased in this moment. I don't like this character, and I'm like, why are you being dumb? And you're like, I love this movie. Why would you think about that? That's all. That's the only opinion I have about this scene.
Okay. Moving on. Is there anything else you want to share about this movie?
No, I don't have any other notes.
I don't either. I don't have any other notes.
Okay.
All right, Tawny. So what do you want to grade this movie? What do you want to rate this movie?
I'm nervous now. I did come in with a rating, and I'm just double checking some other ratings that I've given. You're not gonna be happy with it though.
Maybe. I already know it's not going to be a 5, but depending on how low you go.
Okay, I think I'm going to give this a 3.75.
Okay.
Is that too low for you?
I mean, this is your opinion, you know?
Okay, it's too low for Felicia.
I respect. No, shoot, I can't pull up the thing. It's making me do the password. I'm wondering can you tell me what else you've rated a 3.75?
Yes. So I gave The Witch, The Strangers, another one of your favorites.
Okay.
Mama.
All right.
All a 3.75.
That's a good score for you then.
Yeah.
Because I think all of those are really good movies. So as long as you weren't putting it up against, I don't know, some bullshit, then I was going to get mad. No,
it's a great movie. Like, I can't deny that. I think that's maybe why I felt like I didn't write down any of my positives, because I feel like everybody knows it's a great movie. They talk about the positives. It's great. The twist is great. The kills are great.
Are you kidding me, Tawny Ray? You're like, I didn't write any of that stuff. Why talk about it? You talked about all the positives of Cube. What do you mean?
I know, dude,
you gotta talk about the fucking positives.
Because I have like a fucking nostalgic personal tie to Cube, and I love it.
This movie has some good shit going on.
We're the opposites, dude. We're the opposites. This is your Cube. Okay, Cube is my Cube.
Okay, but even when we were doing Audition, and we gave that, you gave that a 5, right?
Audition, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, when we were talking about Audition, we talked about all the good things about Audition.
Yeah, but we had never seen it before.
Yeah.
Both of us. We were coming into it fresh.
Still gotta talk about why you like it.
I mean, I did talk about I liked the kills. I liked the gritty nature of it. I liked the story.
Thank you.
The acting was great, aside from Brad Pitt, in my opinion. I talked about all that. I love David Fincher. Right. I love David Fincher movies, TV. I talked about all that. Okay. I have lots of positives.
Okay.
It's just that, the positives are definitely represented in the world. And so I just... Going into and watching it again, I couldn't help but write down my negatives. I just want to say, though, that I gave The Silence of the Lambs a 4, and I could not in good conscience give this a higher score than The Silence of the Lambs. Like, I think that's I think it holds up better, in my opinion.
Nice. Okay. You know what? This is really interesting because me and my husband actually talked about this.
Okay.
Because when we were talking about the scoring, and he said for him, Silence of the Lambs was a 5 out of 5. And so we started talking about him like, do you think Silence of the Lambs is better made or is more well made than this movie? And he's like, oh yeah, I just love it. And I'm like, okay, really though, because you didn't like Jodie Foster in Silence of the Lambs. And he goes, oh no, yeah, I couldn't stand her. And I'm like, okay, so that's a big piece. Yeah. He goes, yeah, but I love Hannibal Lecter. Okay, so the whole movie is better made because Hannibal Lecter is a better villain. And he's like, oh, I see your point. Like, I'm not sure we're talking about the whole movie, right? All the aspects of the movie. Yes, you love Hannibal Lecter, but all the aspects of the movie. And he's like, oh, you're right. I'd have to think about it. So I was just sharing that because he actually brought it up. He's like, okay, both are 5s out of 5s. And I'm like, okay. But anyways, I'm still a 5 out of 5. I do.
Yeah. I didn't think I would talk you down. When you mentioned that in the beginning, you were like, you might talk me down. I was like, not a chance.
No, but I was ready for it. I even told Steve, I was like, I'm a 5 out of 5, but I want to see what Tawny says. Because you might bring up something that if I really look at it, okay, you're right. Maybe it isn't a 5 out of 5. But I disagreed with everything you said. So I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
I heard you. I understand.
You took it in. You decided, listen, that's not for me. Okay, none of that.
Oh my gosh, that was fun. That was totally fun.
What a split. I feel like it's a big split. Even though like I said, I don't hate that movie. I don't hate it. I gave it a good score.
When you told me all the movies that you rated the same, I didn't feel as bad because I think I rated all those movies higher than you did probably. So I can see the level. It would be the same type of level of movie. If you were like, oh yeah, I rated that movie. The comedy, Little Zombies or something.
Little Monsters.
Did you rate that a 3 point? Anyways, you really like that.
Let me go back. I did give it a 3.75. Yeah.
Ah, shit. But anyways, we were really divided on that too.
Yeah.
If you would have like compared it to Otis or something, I can't think of a lot of.
No. And you're right. The other 3.75s I've given, you have rated either the same or higher.
Yeah, for sure. Those ones you mentioned, I was thinking.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I can't. Yeah. Silence of the Lambs specifically is so fucking classic. It's well paced. Like I had way less problems watching it than I did this movie. I feel like this is like, there's just some holes. It's like the pacing is weird. Some of the acting is weird. The dialogue for sure is fucking weird.
Okay. We already went through all of this.
Like, I don't want to hear it anymore. Okay.
I hear you.
I heard you. I'm done. I'm done hearing you, actually. If you could stop talking about it, that'd be great.
I did have a blast though making this. It was fun. It was super fun. Next week
we don't know.
Oh shoot, we don't know yet because it's going to be a patron pick.
Yeah,
and so we're just waiting for our patrons to get up off their asses and put in their votes.
Not all the votes are in, so we gotta wait. Yeah.
So we will share that with you shortly. So be on the lookout, and thank you so much. And just know that going forward, we're going to be doing that. So the last movie of the month will be picked by all of you. So our listeners can throw in their suggestions per the theme for the month. And then we'll pull those movies, and the patrons, our patron members, will have the last say.
Yes.
Right?
Yep. I think we can say maybe the options at least for this next one.
Yes. Oh, that's a good one.
So they are either The Game, because again, we're going 1990s psychological horror / thrillers. So it's The Game, Kiss the Girls, The Sixth Sense, and I'm forgetting the last one.
Cape Fear?
Cape Fear. Yeah.
Yes. This was the first time in my life with Tawny, that the whole list of movies that came in, she goes, I didn't see any of these. And I was like, I have seen them all because they were all in the 90s when I was growing up in high school and stuff and college. 1995. Yeah, I graduated. So that's fun.
Yeah, I was like, I haven't seen any of these and I don't have an opinion. which is also very rare. I usually have an opinion.
So thank you so much for submitting those. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Really good picks from everybody. All right. So be on the lookout for that. If you want to connect with us, you can find us on Instagram at twochicksandahorrorflick.com. Also twochicksandahorrorflick.com. Sorry. At Two Chicks and a Horror Flick. And then our website, twochicksandahorrorflick.com. From there, you can find everything that you need to find if you want to find merch or links to any of our other social platforms, and our Discord server where we are active every day. We're hollering something in there, especially if someone writes us, we're responding. And what else, Tawny?
If you want to support the show, you can go to our Patreon page. Obviously, you can become a Patreon member and vote on these movies as we continue to move forward throughout the year. And you can also rate and give us a review on Apple Podcast or whatever platform that you're listening to us on. And that's it. So we will see you guys next week, and we hope you have such a good night. No nightmares.